Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Goodsprings. Now obviously Goodsprings is the most traveled location in Fallout New Vegas. It's where you start the game. But today I want to take a look at Goodsprings and some of the surrounding area to see what might be hidden and what players might miss. And this location was recommended to me by Wesley Gossett. Thanks a lot, Wesley, and thanks for recommending so many locations. Let's jump into Goodsprings. Now, as many of you probably know, Goodsprings is a real-life location, and the Goodsprings sign is based on the real-life Goodsprings sign. And for this location, I primarily want to focus on the real-life locations within Goodsprings. So if you guys don't know, Goodsprings has fully adopted the Fallout aesthetic. So the Main Street area has a real general store, and the Prospector Saloon is the Pioneer Saloon in real life. And every year there is a Fallout festival in Goodsprings, and the owner of the Prospector Saloon has decorated his saloon, the Pioneer Saloon, with all kinds of Fallout memorabilia, so it's really cool. So it's definitely a place that I want to visit, and that many Fallout fans want to visit because it's fully accepted its Fallout identity and has become a place that is synonymous with the Fallout fandom. Now, in real life, the Pioneer or Prospector Saloon is known as a biker bar, and in Fallout New Vegas, we can see several bikes parked outside the Prospector Saloon. So we can tell that the developers of Fallout paid a lot of attention to Goodsprings specifically to design it accurately to real life. And then in Fallout, we have Easy Pete, who is based on an actually real-life person named Gordy, who is a Goodsprings resident and a regular of the Pioneer Saloon that the developers met when they were making this game. So probably one of the coolest characters within Fallout New Vegas. And honestly, Goodsprings and what the developers did with it is just so cool. Then within the Prospector Saloon, obviously we have the bar area, we have a billiards table, and it's run by Trudy. And Trudy, if you notice, will use the side entrance, which is locked, just signifying that she owns the bar. Then outside we can see the shooting range where you go during the tutorial to shoot all of the Sunset Sarsaparilla bottles. Obviously a place that most Fallout players are going to be familiar with. Now if we go over to the general store, we can find some workbenches, and then outside the general store is a Mojave Express Dropbox. And I have to believe this is one of the most underutilized things within Fallout New Vegas. Now, there are drop boxes within Goodsprings, Prim, Novak, Freeside, and the New Vegas Strip. And anything you put into this drop box will be delivered to another drop box. So if you put thousands of pounds of stuff within the Goodsprings drop box, you can then go pick it up on the New Vegas Strip. It is a really interesting thing that players could easily miss. Now, obviously, Chet runs the general store, and we can buy all sorts of goods and ammunition and weapons from him, all kinds of supplies. And then if we head to the north of the general store, we can find what appears to be an abandoned farm, but it is stealing to take this maze, but most of the maze is dried up and dead. We find a trailer with a bed inside of it, and then an abandoned house that we cannot enter. So for the most part, if the house has a resident in Goodsprings, then we can go inside. If the house is abandoned, then we can't go inside. In my opinion, one of the most unfortunate things about New Vegas is the player character cannot have a house in Goodsprings, which I just think is so disappointing. Up against this abandoned house, we can find a BB gun, but obviously BB guns in New Vegas are probably the weakest weapon besides maybe a butter knife, but pretty interesting, and it is actually somewhat valuable, so in a very early playthrough, you could sell this BB gun. Now, Goodsprings Cemetery is obviously the place where Benny shoots you, the player, and then this is your grave that Victor digs you out of, and then Doc Mitchel fixes you up. He takes the bullet out of your head, and somehow he saves your life. Now, the graves within the cemetery are lootable. You can find drugs and ammunition within the graves. So, if you're in an early playthrough, definitely pick up a shovel, dig through the graves, get some ammunition. Now, like everywhere else, Goodsprings Cemetery is based on the real-life Goodsprings Cemetery. Now, in real life, the cemetery is more towards the southeast or the east of the town, whereas in New Vegas, it's to the north of the town. But nonetheless, it is a real-life location you can actually visit. However, if you do go, please be careful because apparently there's a lot of poisonous snakes, like rattlesnakes, within the area. but definitely a place a lot of Fallout fans visit to this day. Now, the water tower here is a similar asset used in Fallout 3. I actually just made a video about a water tower in my Super Duper Mart video for Fallout 3, so you can just tell they copy and pasted some of the same assets. Going down in Goodsprings, there's a lot of bighorners that are peaceful, so you can check them out, get some close-up views of them. A lot of bighorners in this game are actually really aggressive. Now, if we head just a little bit to the northwest of Goodsprings, we can find a plateau, but there's nothing really within the plateau besides some coyotes. But I just thought it's an interesting area. Maybe there is more planned for Goodsprings. And as we'll get into later in this video, there was actually supposed to be another town west of Goodsprings, but it was cut from the final game. However, the Lonesome Road DLC kind of expanded to the west of New Vegas. And there you can see the coyote. I just ignored him, but Raul and Rex made sure to take care of him for me. So thank you for having some of the best companions in the game. Now, going back to Goodsprings, we can find the Poseidon Gas Station, which is where Ringo is hiding out during the main quest. Now, in real life, I could not find this location within Goodsprings. It appears to just be houses within real life. However, there is a fire station nearby, so maybe that is what it is based on. But right at this location is just a house. Now, within the gas station, we can find a locked safe, and once you help Ringo, you can go and open the safe and get a small amount of bottle caps. But overall, not really so much in here besides Ringo during the main quest. Now, heading over to Doc Mitchell's house, which actually has a farm behind it, if you didn't know. But obviously, this is where we start the game. So every person who has played Fallout New Vegas knows this location. You have all kinds of loot in here that you can take with you. Stim packs, bottle caps, all kinds of good stuff. And there's Doc Mitchell himself. Now, if you haven't, I highly recommend to go pick up this skull in your playthrough of New Vegas. I've already picked it up in the tutorial, but if you have not picked up that skull, go in your New Vegas game and pick it up, and you'll have a little Easter egg waiting for you. There's a 9mm, which we can repair if we have 25, and then a copy of Today's Physician, which I believe a lot of players might miss. Then we can move over to the Schoolhouse, which is like every other location in New Vegas, based on a real-world location, the Goodsprings Schoolhouse, which only has like a few students. Probably one of the smallest schools in the entire world. But inside, normally there's a lot of giant mantises. However, I've already killed them. And there's a locked safe, which you can open to get a stealth boy and some other goodies. But once you've done all of that, like I have, there's not a whole lot inside the Goodsprings Elementary School. Now, if we head to the west of Goodsprings, we can find like a little canyon. But originally, there was supposed to be a lot more to the west of Goodsprings. In fact, there was supposed to be another town, which was probably going to be Sandy Valley and Lincoln City. As we can see here on the map, and if you go back and watch my episode outside the Mojave Outpost, we can see that there's like a desert valley west of Goodsprings, and originally there was going to be a town there, but it was cut from the final game. Now, we can go to Victor's shack. Obviously, Victor works for Mr. House, and he's the person that digs you out of the grave and saves your life. Now, inside his shack, there isn't a whole lot besides a weapon repair kit and then a bed, which the player can sleep in. Now, just south of Goodsprings, we can find the Goodsprings Source, which features several buckets, and the water source for New Vegas. And we can find all kinds of pumps and windmills, which help provide the water that obviously Goodsprings would drink. And of course, this is based on a real-life water treatment plant located south of Goodsprings. Now, if you do the tutorial, you will actually come to this location, but most players cancel out of the tutorial by that point. Now, if we continue south, we'll find a character named Barton Thorn, which will start the Unmarked quest, Thorn the Fink. Now, Thorn will tell you that his girlfriend is trapped by geckos just to the west of you up on a cliff. And then you can offer to help him find his girlfriend and to save her from the geckos. So you can follow this like hiking trail, which in real life there's a lot of hiking areas near Goodsprings. So again, accurate to real life, and you'll find several geckos along this path, obviously mutated that will attack the player. However, once you're a high level, or even for a new player, I would imagine this is pretty easy. And I'd actually highly recommend doing this for new players, as it's a good way to get ammunition. So taking out the geckos and going up this little path, we will eventually find a huge horde of geckos. But thanks to having Rex and Raoul, it was pretty easy to kill them. Now at the top of this trail, you will find several dead bodies, and what is in my opinion one of the most graphic dead bodies within New Vegas. You can find the half-eaten corpse of a person with only their upper torso and head being visible. So kind of disturbing, and one of the most graphic things within Fallout New Vegas, and I never even knew it existed. At the very top, you'll find some traps and a chair and ammunition crate. Within this footlocker and ammunition box, you can find a lot of ammunition. Now, if you have Wild Wasteland perk, these balls will spawn along with a dead body called Johnny. However, for whatever reason, Johnny did not spawn for me. And if you don't have Wild Wasteland perk, there will just be a dead prospector up here. But with the Wild Wasteland perk, where there's a lot of balls, and we can just kind of kick them down the cliff and see where they go. Now, of course, the quest is not as straightforward as it might seem. There is no girl, and Barton was just trying to trick you to kill the geckos so he could take all of the loot on top of the path for himself. After talking to him, he will attempt to kill the player, but thanks again to Raoul and Rex, it was pretty easy to kill him. Now, this is an unmarked quest that would be really good for new players, as it's an easy way to get ammunition. At the top, there's a refrigerator with some food and alcohol, but really not a whole lot that is worth getting, but again, the ammo is pretty good. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Unexplored Mojave. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please leave them in the comment section below. Until next time.